Alright, so as a Cleveland Cavaliers fan myself, I really didn't expect the Cavaliers to do anything on draft night. I feel like there are a lot of Cavs fans out there who have extreme over expectations. Like, I saw one Cavs fan page, like, basically begging them to trade for a top 15 pick, and then when they didn't, he started roasting Kobe Altman, and it's just like, bro, not only do we not have the assets for that, but there was never ever going to be a move in this draft. If anything was going to happen, we were going to try and take best available with the 49th overall pick and just kind of go from there. We'd go into training camp, see if this player would maybe, you know, develop enough to earn himself a two-way contract, to earn himself maybe an NBA contract, whatever it might be, right? That was the ultimate goal of this 2023 NBA draft. But at the end of the day, the Cavaliers decided to stay put at pick 49, and they did something kind of excellent and kind of something that I'm very, very excited for and actually happy that the Cavs did. And I honestly think they possibly got nearly the steal in the draft, and that's not even coming from a biased point of view because I'm a Cavs fan. It's coming from I think the general audience's reaction of the whole entire draft is kind of everyone saying the Cavaliers most likely just got the steal of the draft. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, the Cleveland Cavaliers recently with the 49th overall pick selected Emoni Bates from East Michigan, who some of you might remember being the number 3rd ranked player coming out of high school on ESPN, on all the college mock draft things, all that type of stuff, right? All the scouting reports, yeah? I remember 2 years ago researching some of the draft, and you know, of course it was the 2021 draft, right? And I was researching 2021 players, but I remember a lot of people at the time were talking about Emoni Bates because of all the hype that was around his name. And I legitimately remember a time when there were people calling this guy Kevin Durant. And that's definitely a thing that I think a lot of people have forgotten about, but it's definitely a part of history that was there at one stage. This dude was being called Kevin Durant coming out of high school. I believe there were a ton of draft websites that had him as the number 1 ranked player, but I think ESPN had him ranked as the number 3 player. Now, of course, not every single player coming out of high school automatically equates to being a good player in college. Some players have off-court issues, some players don't have the maturity to develop there yet, some players' games just don't convert, and whether that's they don't convert forever, or it's sometimes they take just a bit of time to convert. For Emoni Bates, it just seemed like he didn't really fit in Memphis, and it wasn't really the right place. There's reports that his maturity wasn't there, that he struggled to convert from high school to college, and the other reports, obviously, of his off-court issues, which eventually led him to leave Memphis and, of course, go to a college who I think was not a real big name that a lot of people thought he was eventually going to be playing for, especially coming out of college in East Michigan. He went over and played for them and had an extremely good season. He put all the off-court antics kind of behind him. It seemed like, according to a lot of journalists and stuff, that he did actually mature quite a bit as a player, and he ended up going on to nearly average around 20 points per game. The thing with Emoni Bates that a lot of people are talking about right now is just the fact that he was able to change his game that much in a year, change how he went about things, the maturity, obviously the scene that he was in obviously changed, and from going to averaging like 4 points per game to 19 points per game is a huge difference. And a lot of people noted you saw a lot of what made him really good in high school stand out in his last college season. So in saying all this, there are of course still some off-court issues that will fill in the drama. There are still a lot of things that the Cavaliers will have to sort through, but the Cavaliers said to themselves, look, even though he's ranked about the 56th best player in the draft to the non-drafted stage, or the undrafted stage, sorry, we're going to take a chance of him in the 40s, see how he goes, and if he ends up becoming the next Kevin Durant, well, that's obviously the greatest thing of all time. But the more likely option, if he becomes a player who never really plays a game or doesn't do much in the NBA, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, you took him with a pick that was just in the 40s. In reality, it's an extremely low risk, high reward type situation that is going to be good for the Cavaliers. Like, there were still dudes saying that, you know, journalists and whatnot saying that if this guy didn't have his off-court issues and all this type of stuff, and that first season of Memphis wasn't so bad, this guy could have still been a lottery pick in this year's draft. Like, this is a dude who has extremely good talent, who is a 6'8", 6'9" guy that can play that small forward position really well and score, that's coming to a team that so happens is the weakest at the small forward position, but also desperately needs a scorer to come off the bench. In reality, you're looking at a guy who's probably going to get certain minutes on this Cavaliers team, whether that's at the start of the season or at the end of the season, I'm just not too sure. Rumor has it the Cavaliers are going to be looking to move on from Osman, Dean Wade. They're not going to be bringing back players like Windler. They're definitely going to have a lot of forwards go off this team, and look, they're probably going to bring in another forward or two. Again, some sources say Royce O'Neal could be an interesting option. They're definitely going to do that, right? But I still feel like there's a way where Emoni Bates maybe starts off as the 14th or 13th man, but maybe ends the season off being like a really solid 9th man on this team. Again, there are a lot of weaknesses of his game, don't get me wrong. Some people say he's not a good playmaker, and there's other reports saying he's an incredibly bad defender. But in reality, the Cavaliers, I believe, were the best defensive team in the NBA for like the majority, if almost like all of last season. In reality, he doesn't need to be a good defender, considering there's so much defense really going around on this team. Again, it makes sense for him to be a good defender, considering it's a part of their system, but he can definitely work in that and develop into that as he gets more mature and his game style evolves. What the Cavaliers need right now is a scorer off the bench. Look, he didn't have fancy stats in college, and his field goal percentage and three-point percentage were definitely pretty bad. But he did work on it, and he got better as his second college season went on. And I think on a team like the Cavaliers, who just need a scorer on there, it will come. And I think there are a lot of really good scorers, and there's a really good development team clearly on this Cavaliers team that should be able to hopefully convert him into being a pretty solid player in the NBA. Again, there's a lot of optimism going around about this guy. There is every chance that he just doesn't end up being anything at all. But again, if you're the Cavaliers, that's alright. You took him with the 49th overall pick or whatever. It doesn't really matter to them. There's no risk in this. Most people who get taken at 49 don't really ever play in the NBA anyway. So there's no risk in this or whatever. It makes sense for the Cavaliers to take a little chance on this guy and just see maybe if he does turn out good. And again, if he does, and he does better than like 5 points per game or whatever, the Cavaliers have done something right. And I think, yeah, this is a really good pick, and hopefully could be somewhat in the system next year and somewhat in the lineup. Again, touch wood, no injuries, but if a forward or two does get injured here and there, I could see him playing some small forward and power forward. Again, power forward might be a struggle for him because he's defense, but hey, time will tell, and I think he'll hopefully grow into the role. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you guys think the Cleveland Cavaliers got the steal of the 2023 NBA draft? Of course, I'd very much like to know. Don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channel. All of them will be getting linked in the description down below. But as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.